I see yours is also unopened. All right, and welcome to episode 130 of the Zenspath Entertainment Network Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Powers, and joining this week wait, who is that guy? What? Okay, so we got a guy, New Zealand? Chase? How's it going?
New person, who dis?
Yeah. Joining us regularly, because, they have nothing else to do. Chris.
Hello.
Space
On the great beyond. And lastly, Steven.
Yep.
So exciting. Wow, we're off to a great start. No, our friend Chase decided to join us as a extra bit. He'll probably be on the show a little bit more often, but this is also a bit of a birthday thing for him. So
happy birthday.
Enjoy. Happy birthday. This is the guy that keeps us playing a shit ton of Helldivers 2. And a lot of Gears. So much Gears. Actually, you're the one that got me started in playing the entire Gears series, which we need to go back and finish the last one.
True story.
Before the inevitable announcement of a new one here in a month or two.
You know it's happening. You know it's happening.
God,
it's not a matter of if now, it's when.
It better.
Better
we've already had leaks from voice actors and stuff hinting that they're working on stuff.
The Verge already said it's happening, so just wait for it, please.
7th, technically.
Oh, wow.
8th, if you count Gear, but I don't know, the Hive Busters.
Is he counting the Funko Pop mobile game?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, because that got canned.
Oh. Mercy kill. Okay.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to curb stomp that. But we're talking about leaks with voice actors. Has anyone heard anything from Batista, or are they just dropping that and moving on?
Give it time.
Give it time. All right. Well, what I will give is everyone an opportunity to catch up because we didn't have a show last week. I'd been traveling, running around. When I got back, people had stuff going on. We just decided to take a week off. But I'm going to jump in first on what we've been up to because that actually ended up leading to Steven and I starting a project where I've finally started playing Snatcher for the first time. We went all the way through Act 1. I put Part 1 and he was like, no, it's Act 1. I fixed it. So he fixed it. I'm just not, I don't want to get yelled at. But we're going to do it in a series of 4 videos. So here soon we'll record the second act. And then these will all be published on the anniversary of the game, which, Steven, when will that be?
Well, it's not necessarily the anniversary. It's just a date that I use from when the catastrophe started. So it's June 6th.
Gotcha. So we might not make that. We'll make that date for at least the first part. I don't know if we'll make it for all of it, but we'll see what we got. But man, that game is weird. I'm enjoying it. That guy is horny. We'll just go with that because you have options to awkwardly try and date, flirt, kiss, whatever, every woman you find.
That's a very Hideo Kojima thing to do.
And it's canon to the Metal Gear universe.
It's hilarious. I'm glad to say that as much as you've played it, Steven, I was able to finally do something you had not seen just out of my randomness. There's also a few moments where I just react and do something and you're like, no, don't do that. It's too late. I've already done it. And it was great. But I am liking the game. I'm liking seeing it through your eyes as well, because you'll kind of guide me past a bunch of BS and just like, all right, let's just do this. Let's just move on, move to this part or try that. You're not giving the game away, but you're hinting at the fun stuff.
Yeah. I don't want a backseat drive, but I want to.
Right. Well, having me sit there and search a place like 30 times. Like who would have done that?
Yeah. I wanted to make sure you didn't miss any of the Easter eggs. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure that's a part everyone's gonna be like, this is taking forever. What's going on? But beyond that, I finally finished the second season of Resident Alien, which is the Tudyk show that I've really been enjoying. I need to, I guess, sign up for Peacock to finally watch the third season. Damn it, another streaming service. I did find out we get it free through our cable provider, so
there you go.
I'll work that out, and at least then I can watch it, which means I'll also be able to watch Twisted Metal finally. But what I did finish was X-Men 97, which holy crap, that show ended strong. The second season has already been written. The original show guy, Bo DeMeo, who we still don't know why he's been fired, so I'm not going to defend one way or the other. Like, they haven't said anything about, he's been tweeting and talking about the show the entire time, like giving recommendations, hints of what shows to watch, stuff like that. So it seems like they're not completely pushing him away, but I'm curious what happened and if we're ever going to hear about it. But I'm really excited for the second season. I like where they're going with this stuff, so we'll have to find out.
He took too many donuts from catering.
Well, what was the other director that Disney fired? The guy that did Guardians of the Galaxy, and they were like, "Oh, our bad," and
allowed for like 12-year-old tweets, and then they were like, "Wow, you have a good directing regimen, so we're gonna bring you back."
Well, yeah, and that he's like, I already addressed these and talked about them. Yeah, I did something stupid. It was all that time ago. It's kind of a back and forth, but that cost him, and he ended up going to DC. So he's doing all their stuff. So hopefully that doesn't happen with Bo. Who knows? But we'll see. Next up, Chase, we'll jump to you. What have you been up to?
Oh man.
He's like, I'm on the spot.
I'll just play Helldivers, obviously with the boys, as we'd say in New Zealand. Gears 5's been on hold for a little bit, but I was the person that got Jeremy into like, hey, we should play through the entire series. So we do that time to time.
Don't lie, you were excited as hell when you were like, wait, you like Gears?
It's
You
the
like
last
playing all
one.
of
Yeah,
We're
that's true.
favoring it.
That's true. I absolutely love that series to death. XDefiant recently just released their preseason. It dropped on the 21st, so they call it the preseason. And so I've been playing it. Actually, really enjoy it. Really well done, I think, so far. It's basically just Ubisoft's take on Overwatch, and they just use like characters from like Tom Clancy series in it, basically. Like, but overall, pretty good. A lot of board games and stuff as well. Gloomhaven on Wednesdays. Yeah. So
I miss having board game nights.
it's fun.
All right. Chris, we'll move on to you. What have you been up to?
Well, I finished Animal Well, the game that was made by, published by Video Game Donkey. You really can't 100% that game without doing 50 million things, so I just did the base finish the game. It's a lot like Fez or Tunic, where there are all these little codes and secrets in plain sight. I remember someone saying, one of the developers saying, that there is a secret in every single room. So I did not find them all, not by a long shot.
Oh, wow.
I did start playing the Thousand Year Door remake. It is very fun. The new music is nice, and thank God they made some quality of life stuff, because you don't have to backtrack anymore. They have a warp system. Thank God.
How have you dealt with the whole limited 30 funds per second, apparently?
Yeah, is the warp system 30 frames too? Shit.
Look, I played through it so far. I didn't even think about any frame skips. It's beautiful. It's fine. I don't care what the naysayers say. It's fine as it is.
Everything I've seen, like, I joke about it, but everything I've seen, like, it is rock solid. Like, they had to do some ridiculous crap to make it like hitch a little bit, and I'm like,
if you've got 30 platinum points to spend, I do recommend going to my Nintendo, getting the file, and then printing it out at like a FedEx of the GameCube Switch artwork. So,
that's fun.
Because they should have just included that as a flip cover. Like, they should have just done that.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue, Chris.
Oh no, that was everything. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I need to play my copy. Hopefully get to start it either tonight or tomorrow. Jennifer has absolutely loved it though, so she's right there with you. Like, she's been ranting and raving about how much she loves that game.
Cool.
Animal Well, I was very tempted because they announced a physical copy, and then now you're telling me it's like, yeah, it's very much like Tunic, which is a game I'm playing now, and Fez, the one I played before with the puzzles, and I'm like, God, I'm gonna have to do this now. So I'm in.
Well, it only just came out, so you got time.
Yeah, I think it just got announced on Limited Run. I'm just going to go ahead and order that one. All right. And lastly, Steven, what about you? What have you been up to?
Well, I too finished X-Men 97 with the wife. There was parts that I had to explain to her because she's just based off of like some movies, some cartoons.
Right.
So I basically was just like doing some oh shit moments, and I was just like, oh, they're in for it. We just don't know it yet. So that was interesting. And then I've delved into Cat Quest 2. You are forced to have a second player with you at all times. He's really good though at dodging and fighting for me sometimes because you can now do ranged attacks. So it's nice using the new system it has and going through it that way. So it's not too bad. I have unfortunately gotten rehooked to Vampire Survivor, the Operation Guns DLC, and a bunch of laboratory and other DLCs. There's cart modes in there now where you're constantly moving in mine carts, so you have to you miss all the pickups. It's insane to play. So,
Oh wow!
But I've been unlocking what's his name? Well, Lance, Wolf, Fang, and all these other characters from the Contra series. Oh, and Bill. There you go, Bill and Vance.
I love that they keep putting all these other.
Someone's gonna correct me. I just know it.
Yeah.
But anyway, and each Contra character has their own music. It doesn't. It's not the classic music. I think they're derivatives because nothing's making me like, oh, that's a bop or anything like that.
Right.
But no, it's something to go through. That's for sure. I also picked up Tetris. That's in a Slurp. That's on a Slurpee cup.
If you find another one of those, please. That is great.
Like, Tetris. I love Tetris. Oh, it's on a Slurpee cup.
Oh, that's fantastic. Did you have to order that? Or did you actually find it in the wild?
No, I ordered it from 711collections.com. So it came directly from them. They sold out, but I don't know if they'll restock, but they might.
Is it eligible for free refills?
It's full.
I have a tradition.
Yes, I've been thoroughly enjoying. I don't mind if he takes his time going through Snatcher. The only time I've been pushing him is when I know he's going to be redundant. So I was like, yeah, you don't need to do that. Maybe and I just say it in ways like, you should check this. We should
I guess this. The best way I could describe it, it feels like we're being more efficient with the time. You're letting me explore and do crazy stuff, but helping me to kind of move along when I need to, which is great.
Yeah, because like the first thing like I made it is like you don't have to sleep. It's not that kind of visual novel game, and you don't have to deduce that you're not a duck detective. You are a detective, though. I will admit in the beginning, though, I'm going to admit as well, you did a new sequence of events for me.
Oh, I did?
because when you got shot a lot on your first mission, the fact that everybody talks about how you're all banged up and you're being healed by nanomachines, which I'm like, oh, they still have nanomachines from Metal Gear Solid 4 or whatever it was. I was like, that's interesting. And everybody just keeps pointing out like, wow, you didn't do very well, did you?
Yeah, then I literally apparently pooped them out.
That was the best part. That was the best part because when I use the toilet, he says I just feel better, and she says nothing. But he got a whole new line of dialogue when he used it because then he's like, well, you just got rid of all your nanomachines. He's like, oh, is that what that was? Oh, well.
Thank you for not mocking me for my really bad shooter. I was like, what is going on?
I thought that's what we were doing.
Well, at least when he was going through each part, I was just like, now would be a good time to save because
I do greatly appreciate that.
Because he's using an Xbox controller because he's using a legally obtained ROM. And it's got the circle D-pad, so it doesn't do well versus the Genesis circle D-pad, which is superior. But
can't you switch those?
That's not one of those cool ones from back in the day. They stopped that.
God damn it.
You know what I'm going to do?
Have the Elite, or you need to have an old 360 controller.
No, I have the Nintendo Switch Online Genesis controller. I should get that and try it.
Yeah.
That should be the closest thing I could actually play on. Yeah, I've completely forgot about that. Remind me, we'll have to hook that up later and give it a shot.
Okay. But yeah, that's about it. Been busy.
Awesome. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump into the news. So, our first little bit of news, we're going to talk about not at all. We're just going to mention it because if we talk about this, we're going to get yelled at. Beetlejuice had a new trailer that showed a lot of stuff, but it just kind of feels wrong to talk about this without Rachel here. So, I kind of vote we just move along and let her rant and rave about this when she is feeling up to it to join us once again.
We'll have I'm not going to say his name a third time, but we'll have a section just for his movie, so Rachel can talk about it.
You're trying to conjure her now?
Okay.
Yeah, I've looked around. She's not here. All right. So on to our actual news now that we got that out of the way. So we had some random Fallout news. We talked about before Fallout 4 getting its next-gen update, which had some issues. Many of those have been fixed, though, with a recent patch, which has added a lot of the options for PC for their controls. The Series X and Series S now run way better with all their high definition options and everything. And now it's actually running as the better version, as it probably should have to begin with. PC still has some ultra wide settings options, but I mean, how many people actually have those ridiculous wide monitors? Probably a few. I don't know.
A lot of developers do.
I get that. The heads up display for those is still a little wonky, but I mean, it doesn't break the game. It just looks weird. So it's good to see that. But on other Fallout news, Fallout has come to Fortnite. You can get the power armor in there now, which is available as a skin that you can purchase. And then at least one location from the game is going to be added. I did not go back and look and see if it was a vault. I figured it might be a vault. That would just kind of make sense. That or maybe the Robco building. I would bet on that. That kind of feels like it'd be it. Steven, I think you got some better updates for this. What you got?
Well, alongside Fallout, they did actually add in Magneto. He's in there.
Ooh.
They added in a
Which suit did they give him?
fake-looking Mad Max because Furiosa's out.
Nah.
So that was pretty neat too. And then they made their little changes that some people like, some people dislike. It's wherever you want to go. However, people have already gotten some updates of what's coming next, and Lethal Company is coming to Fortnite next, where you can hit people with the stop sign and you can do the little dance.
We
and
really
I'm like,
need to play
man,
more
I need
Lethal
to play
Company,
that
man.
again, and we do need to play that other one too, the content warning.
Yeah, we got that. We never played it.
I watched somebody play that, and I was just like, I need to play this so bad with everybody.
I think one of my boys was playing it.
Incredible.
So for Magneto, do we know what suit they gave him?
X-Men 97.
Oh, thank God. Well, there's two suits. That could be the classic.
It's not the House of
red
M,
and purple.
suit.
Okay. Well, it's not the House of M. That was his good guy suit, the big M on the chest. Yeah.
I'm like, that's your House of M suit. Let's get it.
Well, that was like a decade before House of M.
I know, but he still wore it.
That's true. All right. So move on to this little bit of news. So this was more of just a conversation piece than a news story, but it came out that while the PlayStation 5 has sold more than 59 million units so far, with Sony saying that the system is now entering the latter half of its life, it's come out that more than half of the existing PlayStation Network users are still on PS4 and have not upgraded. And this isn't like a knock against Sony, because this kind of shows, it tracks with why the Series S is selling so much better than the Series X. Like the budget systems are greatly outselling these, with the bigger differences between hardware and just kind of sticking to what they have. So are we seeing more, like less of a reason for people just to upgrade to these big, powerful machines versus just staying with what they have? Chase, go ahead.
I guess the question that I would pose to the group on this one is there a game that you've gotten this generation where you're like, yeah, this is where I actually really needed a PS5 or a Series X? Because I think the issue is that there's not a lot of games that I've seen where I'm like, this couldn't have run on the PS4 Pro, or this couldn't have run on, I think we're just seeing such a diminishing returns in like graphics and whatnot. I don't know. I just haven't seen that game yet, I don't think.
I've seen some games that really would not run. People will say like, well, they could run on it, but if you're running them on something similar like a Steam Deck or whatever, like say Hellblade 2, that is definitely a game that is pushing a lot of stuff in the newer generations that really runs rough if they tried to put it on older systems. Not as many though. There's way more cross generation. Steven, I think you had something. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, to answer Chase's question, yes, Helldivers 2.
You don't think that could have run on a PS4 Pro?
No,
Not well.
I think the stuff it does in the
Oh,
background. I think the stuff it does in the background in real time is something that's more for the PS5. To be honest, I think PS4 would have taken all that background stuff off, so you couldn't see stuff happening in real time. And then the other one,
maybe.
just because of the developer right now, is Stellar Blade.
Mm-hmm.
For me, yeah, it's a blatant fan service game, but it's still exclusive. But the problem they have, and as why I get it, Sony, is because all your big titles you have on PS4 already. You have Last of Us 1 and 2.
Yeah.
You have God of War Ragnarok. You have Horizon Forbidden West and such, and
Gran
Horizon
Turismo
Tears of
7.
the Kingdom or whatever.
Yeah.
But so
I think
it's a
the game that could.
catch-22.
I think the
Sorry.
game that could make me say yes is Ghost of Tsushima 2, because that game is absolutely gorgeous on the PS4, and seeing what they do on the PS5 might be. I think that could be really, really good.
And there's actually people who I've seen who chomp at the bit to get a PS5, but then when something gets announced, they're like, "Oh, it's coming to PS4," and people are like, well, "Okay, so you're holding back, so I'm not going to upgrade yet."
Chris, go ahead.
To be fair, all of these are playable on PC as well. And then we have Cyberpunk, which was absolutely atrocious on the PS4 to the point where they trashed it completely. So, there are games that are only available on PS5, but at the same time, they're not. We've got Square jumping ship too, so sometimes it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, and I think this time we've seen more kind of muddying of the generations simply because all the engines, everything I having to make has to be scalable between so many different bits of hardware. Like you've got all these high-end games like Senua, people are trying to play it on Steam Decks, or I tried playing Helldivers 2 on the Steam Deck. I set it up so I could play it with you guys while we traveled, and I went to go mess with it. And I'm like, yeah, it plays, but it didn't feel right. So I ended up stopping and just not playing on it. That's why I didn't even bother hitting you guys up. It might work on like my Legion Go, but that's way more hardware. That's, a bigger jump. Not as popular as the Steam Deck. And I'm sure there's plenty of people that do play it just fine on there. But I've been spoiled playing that thing on the PC with you guys. And I need that, big far out detail to see, oh, here's a horde of something coming in from this side, not just the radar, but I could see them way out there. And to Steven's point, they would probably cull that. They wouldn't have it in the rendering because it would be just too far out for the draw distance. So, and I agree, Chase, we're seeing much smaller returns on investment for this stuff. Not saying it's, bad. There are a lot of systems in the background that are running that you don't think about, that the new hardware is advancing. Once again, Helldivers 2, yeah, it's just a bunch of bugs and robots, but all the AI and running all those characters all over the map as everyone's running around, that takes a lot. Like that is not something I think a PS4 or an Xbox One would do well. Maybe if they did like a 30 FPS cap and shrunk it down, but at that point, why? So I don't know. I just thought it'd be kind of a fun discussion, something we should dive into a little bit later, because with the Switch 2, whenever that comes out, that's also going to kind of change the balance of how things work. It may actually extend the life of the PS4 and Xbox One even longer, because as popular as that system will probably be compared to the Switch, people are going to be developing in that range. From we don't know the actual power yet, but that might be an anchor point to kind of keep them going along, So, go ahead, Steven.
Yeah, I think, like I said last time, thank you Xbox Series S. Because, I think if the Switch 2's power comes to be where they said it was, which was right above S, then that's gonna then Microsoft's going to love them since they're already doing some multi-platform strategies,
Mhm.
and they committed to doing stuff with Nintendo. So I think that'll just help Xbox because they're like, oh, since all these companies are still paring down their games, now they can say, oh, well, we'll develop for Switch first and then put it on the S and X, and then PS5 is up in the air. But because right now, for some reason, everything, at least Japanese, because we'll get to why that happened with Microsoft, but everything Japanese right now is PS4, PS5, PC sometimes, and Switch, and it's
Mhm.
like you're missing something. Yeah, we know you're missing something because they know like where their bread and butter is. So
Yeah, like the consoles right now, this is kind of an unprecedented setting for everything where, I would love to go back and see what the numbers are on the PC side of like we've got people with all these big gaming PCs, but not everyone has a high-end new one. There's such a huge amount of them that just have an average or older computer that they're playing on just fine. The number of Steam Deck players that got into it before I upgraded my PC, I was playing more on a Steam Deck than my actual desktop. And that's not a small market. Like they've sold really well with those things. So people aren't looking for the fastest and biggest thing, which is also explains why the Switch is still selling like freaking crazy.
fun.
7 years later. Yeah, it's fun. It just plays, it does what it does, and people enjoy it. So, all right, let's move on to our next bit. So, speaking of Xbox games, Hi-Fi Rush, with all of the mess with their studio being closed down all of a sudden, which still makes no damn sense to me. They did verify it is still getting the physical edition through limited run games. So it will get the most recent update on the game. So that'll be on the disc. And it's kind of brought up the argument of physical media as a means of preservation.
Yeah.
Because this game will eventually just go away. It's especially with the licensed music. That's going to make it really hard to ever bring that anywhere without dropping that and having to go to the streaming mode at best. And it's not bad, but it's not the same. The music, the licensed music in that makes that game.
Yeah, which is why whenever there's a whatever game has licensed music to begin with,
Mm-hmm.
I always like, oh, I have to get it physical because they can't change that on my disc.
Yep. They can try and do updates, but you can always kind of just stay offline and play it for a lot of them.
Yeah, I still haven't updated my Tears of the Kingdom. So
I did update that. I had to eventually, but like, when I'm playing that game, one of my favorite parts of Hi-Fi Rush is that later on part when Prodigy's Invaders Must Die hits, and I'm just like, yes! And I'm just tearing through fighting stuff, and it made me so happy. I tried going back and playing it in the streaming mode, and yeah, the action was still there, but it just didn't hit the same way. It was good music, don't get me wrong, but it loses that little extra to it, I think. They made really good musical choices with this game. Once again, do not understand why they shut them down.
It's like Ice Cap Zone in Sonic Origins.
Yeah, I guess. I don't really play that one too much. I'm just going to agree with you on that.
You know what I mean, Kristen? They butchered them.
They're both good, but the original is far better.
That's like saying a plant-based burger's good.
Let's not get into that right now.
That's an opinion at that point.
That's impossible. That's beyond.
Beyond impossible.
Chase, have you played any of Hi-Fi Rush?
I haven't played any Hi-Fi Rush, but
God, you should.
Yeah, it's definitely one I need to get into. But also with the topic of good like video game soundtracks, it's kind of like Metal Gear Rising. Like that game would not be what it is without that soundtrack in the slightest.
True. That's another one that got a really good enhancement for backwards compatibility. So, all right. Moving on to our possible darkest future. So, Microsoft, why? They're making a possible $16 billion cash offer for Valve. No, this is bad. So I honestly think this would be horrible for everybody involved. Like, yeah, okay, Microsoft is getting their studios. We're hoping they build stuff up. Valve needs to maintain its neutrality. I think that's the benefit of everyone in gaming, because, they're a publisher for all these games, for Sony, for Microsoft, not for Nintendo, because they just don't do PC, and all these other indies and other companies and everybody. And other stores have tried to come and go, but Valve has just kind of made PC a much more comfortable way to play than it used to be for gaming. Because PC gaming, I never really got into, because I hated putting in a game, trying to fight with drivers, trying to make it work. I just wanted to play it and enjoy it. And Valve with Steam has made that generally the case for most titles. You still have a couple nitpicky ones here and there, but it seems to just work for me now. So I play PC a lot more than I used to. I also worry this would be a huge monopoly push. Like, and I don't even use that lightly. It's just the fact that Microsoft already has a pretty good foot into gaming in regards to Windows. Maybe not as much as everyone thinks, but Windows is the main system people play on. For them to also control Valve and Steam would just be too much for that company. I don't think they would manage that correctly at all. We'd end up with another Skype mess or something. So I'm wondering, like, should companies in the industry continue to run themselves like tech companies and kind of go from there? Steven, go ahead.
I think at this point they might have gotten scared away from it, only because what recently happened with Ticketmaster. So when you have the government step in and be like, "You're horrible, Ticketmaster," so we're going to start to do some shit because you've gotten way too big and way too of a monopoly, where it's affecting the industry. It's even making upcoming artists go broke because they have to pay Live Nation and Ticketmaster back. So I think this is kind of like a warning shot, like red flag to Microsoft, saying, I know you went up 60% in your distribution because of Activision, but how about you work out the kinks, because you've already hired and fired. So why don't you become a well-oiled machine before you even dare try to do something else? I know you tried to buy Nintendo in the past and they laughed you out of the building. So
that was
like,
great.
Just don't.
Yeah. Chase, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I jokingly say yeah, but no, I don't think that it would be a good idea if they did. This is the problem with the industry though as a whole, is, and I'll try not to get too much of a rant into it, but it's just all these companies are trying to run themselves like tech companies, in the sense that they want to focus on infinite growth rather than on profitability and creativity. And it's kind of a problem too. Just everybody's beholden to shareholders, right? I mean, they constantly have to go into their financials saying, we had this great year, and all the shareholders are going to say is, that's great, how are you going to make it better next year? It's just and I think Sony found out the hard way, very hard way, that this is what happens when you pick a fight with a company that has a war chest. And so now they're like, oh, you wanted to try to like pay all these companies to like keep them from giving us games? We're just going to buy the companies. All of them.
Yeah, a lot of stuff got shown off that they didn't want to unveil.
Yeah,
so.
those court cases, the court documents they were telling.
Stop using Sharpies.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think the biggest part of it with me is the fact that Microsoft, like, yeah, they do a lot of stuff on Windows with their gaming and everything, but like, let's be honest, the Xbox app on PC kind of sucks. Like, it doesn't work quite well. Even on my Legion Go, I bought that so I could play Xbox on the go. I've installed these games. I keep telling it this is the system that I can play offline, and it keeps wanting me to sign in to be able to play it, which, even just to check in doesn't work when I'm traveling. I have to like sign in and then leave it on, and it's killed my interest in taking it with me all the time, which sucks. Like, Microsoft really needs to fix that. And if they take over Valve, I'm afraid that would just go straight down the toilet, because they would try and implement this stuff. Like, Microsoft needs to pair with Valve. I think they would, if they had an agreement where, maybe they could work out something where, the Play Anywhere, you could buy a game and have the Steam version or some way to get it to connect, because it's so different. You can't and this is partially Steam's fault, like their save systems are unique where most games can't share their saves. They have to go through some weird back loop thing to do it. So like if you get Starfield on Steam, you can't move it over to Xbox and vice versa. And it's annoying, but they should work on that, not trying to just buy the company, because all it's going to do is lead to a bunch of people getting laid off again. So, yeah. And they probably kill all the
private
Linux
too.
They're not. Apparently, Gabe's, I guess his ex-wife owns a huge chunk of the company too, and like he has enough controlling power, but
they are publicly traded. I thought they were private still.
I have to look and see, because they were talking about who actually owned the shares, which normally is a public. So,
yeah,
I don't know. I don't think this is a good thing at all. Microsoft needs to just calm down, play with the toys you've got, quit asking for new ones.
Well, it's good. It's just a hint, because I haven't heard any rumblings. I've learned it right here on this show, so I didn't hear too much of it. So maybe it's kind of just whispers right now.
Yeah, I was going to put it as a rumor until I saw more people reporting and talking about it with other stuff, and I was like, oh crap, this might actually be happening.
Or maybe it's like Neil Druckmann, where all his words are taken out of context by Sony.
God, I don't believe they did that. That's such a mess. All right. Moving on to a more interesting and fun acquisition. So, hey, you guys remember Atari? Do you remember Intellivision? That was the earliest days of the console wars before the NES versus Sega days or all of that. This was the World War One of console wars. It's finally come to an end. Atari has now purchased all of Intellivision. So they gained the rights to more than 200 titles from its portfolio and trademarks, all of which probably fits under like 1 or 2 megabytes. You just put it all on one little thumb drive, you're good. Intellivision will rebrand and continue its portfolio and trademarks. It'll rebrand and continue with the Amico console. Like, why won't they just let that die? And distribute new versions of the Intellivision games. That could be fun. I kind of liked back on the PlayStation days when they'd make new versions of older games. Some of those were actually fun. Atari will seek to grow and expand the digital and physical distribution of legacy games to create value in the brand. So, what do you guys think about this one?
So I love the collections they've done. So I love Atari 50.
So good.
I love the Atari Collection 1 and 2 for countless systems leading up to Switch.
Mm-hmm.
I love I know there was like Intellivision Lives for GameCube. I would hope they make a collection like that of just all their games for Switch. It just lends itself to it.
Yeah.
What I don't like, Atari, is Atari Recharged, where you put 2 of your games, but you promise that they're so different. And I'm like, they're not. Because I played the demo for Lunar Lander Beyond, and I was just like, you guys are going ham on these cinematics and anime intros and stuff. But the game is pretty basic, and it's something you can buy physical by itself. And I was like, I don't know about this. You need to, if you guys are going to create value in the brand, please don't do any mini consoles anymore. Thank you.
How much are you going to bet we're going to see like an Intellivision mini console now to go along with the Atari?
They already did one.
They'll probably do another one. Atari's already done one, and they keep making them. I saw a new one in the stores like a month ago. I was like, holy crap, why? You guys just released the Atari that's supposed to be like the HD where you can put the cartridges and actually play them on a TV. Like, why are we getting more emulation boxes?
But other than that, they're doing well with what they have right now, and they're working with the right people like Digital Eclipse that can enhance the value by putting in a documentary version. So games like Atari 50 and Karateka or Karateka, depending on which side you're on.
Karateka.
Shut up. Either one of those, just like that shows like that's value in the brand, because you're just like, oh, there's a lot of value there. You're not just saying, here's 2 games that look better that we put a new coat of paint on. It's no, we're going to give you back documentary style features. We're going to give you hidden features. We'll give you online leaderboards. And yeah, the easiest thing you can do at Atari is just give us collections. You still have games out there.
Yeah, I the Atari 50 treatment for Intellivision, I think, would be the biggest thing I would want to see the rise and fall of their competition and, all their developments and everything from there.
Let's get an Intellivision 75 or however old they are right now.
They've been around a while. Yeah. So, all right. You guys have anything else on that before we move on?
I miss George Plimpton doing the commercials for Intellivision.
See, they should have all those on there too. I guess they have to get his estate to allow him to be on there. That's a whole weird one. All right. And our last bit of acquisition news from a company you don't normally hear about doing this. So Nintendo has actually acquired Shiver Entertainment from Embracer Group. Of all the companies for Nintendo to buy up, I thought this one was kind of surprising. It kind of makes sense, but just hearing that it was Nintendo at all threw me off because they like to team up with people. They don't normally buy them.
Yeah, between the two, I was just like, you guys should have bought Panic Button, but whatever.
No kidding. Shiver has partnered with publishers and developers through commissions for large-scale title developments. Recently, has worked on porting and developing software such as Unnamed Game from Lady Who Hates People and Mortal Kombat 1, which that is not a selling point for a company for that port. It got better, but boy, was it not better at the beginning. Did you guys actually see that one?
I don't know. I saw the before and afters as well.
Mhm.
I saw the original, like, oof.
Yeah, it was really
and then
funny.
I saw kind of the next patch, and it's hard to say, but I want to put some of that on deadlines.
I could see that because the Switch has had some really good ports. I was honestly shocked they even tried with that new Mortal Kombat.
So I think the Wizarding World game that we cannot mention and the Mortal Kombat 1, like, they're both ones that I think got hit by deadlines, and if they now there were a nicer overlord that'll just be like, yeah, whatever, take your time, then
Just make it right.
One day you'll be Panic Button. Oh, it's good.
We don't normally hear about Nintendo doing this, so it was kind of a bigger news for me on that. So, all right. So we've got a little bit more of Nintendo news here. So this is kind of Switch 2 rumors / people found information, and I haven't gotten direct confirmation, but I thought this was kind of an interesting fact. So hackers have apparently found possible Switch 2 news inside of the code for Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door. The code apparently unlocks 4K rendering options on different hardware, which kind of leans into the upscaling or running on Switch 2 hardware that has been heavily hinted at. No confirmation, but if out of the box they can make these games run better on the Switch 2, that's going to be huge. Specifically for, like, what could it do for the Mortal Kombat 1 port? Like, it's not going to be a miracle. Don't expect that to
It'll be
look
playable.
Like, yeah, it'll be
Yay!
playable. There you go. It's not going to look like an Xbox One or Series X or PS5 game, but it might at least play okay. Who knows? So let me ask you guys this: if the Switch 2 does have that feature where your existing library will play, but enhanced, do you think that will either hurt sales of the new titles or just try and get people to move over and play their existing library over that? Steven, go first.
I think that's going to increase the demand,
Mm-hmm.
and I think a lot of the companies that have already seen success are going to be either pushing it or telling their developers, like, we need to reprint this. We need to do a small ad push for this again. Just because natively just sounds so good to, oh, your update's going to be another 100 gigs type of stuff, because that's what kind of helped hurt the PlayStation, saying, oh, there's PS5 upgrades. But as you said, everybody stayed with the PS4. So I don't know if it'll necessarily hurt too much, because I think a lot of people will still go for the Switch 2, because unlike the other two guys, Nintendo is going to put stuff on Switch 2 that's not on their previous system. They're eventually going to be like, sorry, like, we're not putting these on both systems. That's too much. So I agree that they'll do something like that.
Okay. Chris, what about you?
Well, who knows? It would be nice, but it'd be cool to play Zelda like even nicer than it was before. So we'll see.
No kidding. All right. Chase, what about you?
I think it all just depends on the price, right? It just depends on how much the Switch 2 costs. Because, I mean, disposable income's hard to come by these days for a lot of people. So if it's priced at a reasonable value, then people will upgrade in a heartbeat. I mean, you're already guaranteed to have what, like 20, 40 million people that are probably just going to instantly upgrade because it's got Nintendo's name on it. Probably even
Yeah,
more than that.
I gotta order. I have to order
Yeah.
like a couple of them. So,
But like, yeah, no, I think it's good. I think the Switch 2 would be good. I'll get one eventually. It's just, but yeah, I think as far as people upgrading right away, it's just going to be about price and value.
okay. So I think my only concern is if you remember, like during the 3DS to new 3DS, when they had that kind of upgrade, it wasn't really a generational one, but you had games that would run better on the new 3DS, but still run on the old one that probably shouldn't have, like Fire Emblem. I think one of those Fire Emblems, the battle one with
Awakening.
like, or not even Awakening. It was,
Conquest? Birthright?
I think Conquest, maybe one of those. It's the Dynasty Warriors one.
Oh,
Okay.
Warriors. Fire Emblem
Warriors, yeah.
I think is what
Where,
it's called.
yeah, there was a couple of those that ran pretty well on the new 3DS, but then you would go back and like, well, it could play on the old 3DS and it was rough. Like it was like maybe it shouldn't have been there. And I'm hoping Nintendo doesn't try and do that too much. Like it would be terrible if like Prime 4 came out. And it's like, wow, it looks great on here, but hey, it's also a Switch game. And it's just disappointing because it's running so poorly. Not even so much the whole 3060 or any of that crap, but like
I just hope they
bad
copy.
optimization.
I just hope they copy the 3DS thing and put a little lip on Switch 2 games.
That'd
so you
be
can't put them in
great.
Switch.
I am hoping it seems to be what might happen. It makes sense to me. Chase, go ahead.
That the Fire Emblem Warriors, like when I played that game it was fun as long as it was docked. But the minute you took it off the dock, the thing ran horribly.
Yeah.
So I hope that it's not another situation like that too.
Actually, I think
cases.
Maybe I'm not thinking the Fire Emblem. I know the Hyrule
Hyrule
Warriors. That one, yeah, that might be the one I'm thinking of. Where it was
same scenario.
Yeah, it ran well on the new 3DS, or well enough, but it was really rough to play in the old 3DS. Like,
because I think the rumor was that portable it'll be like a PS4, and then docked it'll be like an Xbox Series S. So
that'd be fine for me. I mean, that's still not bad.
that's two systems that are selling really well.
Yeah, that's Nintendo already doing more with what they already have, and they've already proven they can do pretty good with stuff. So I don't know. They thrive in limitations, I think. They get more creative around it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Fun little we're getting more Switch 2 rumors that are kind of fun to talk about as we're waiting for some time during this fiscal year to find out what this new hardware is. I still want it to be called the Super Nintendo Switch.
So it's SNS.
Yeah, I'll do it. I don't care. All right, so Microsoft CoPilot will get Xbox integration, and this will allow you to ask AI for game guides, tips, even search your inventories, for stuff like how do I create a sword in Minecraft, which was a demo they showed off with a guy talking to it. And I haven't gotten confirmation if that was real time, like actual, or if this is one of those, we're going to act it out. Like, remember the Milo demo where they're like, oh, look what you can do with Connect. And they found out later it was all fake as crap. I'm hoping the AI is real. That's kind of neat. But, go ahead, Steven.
So yeah, they did it at one of their like tech conventions they had where they showed it off. And I think in the world where I've seen the dating app AI already, it's crazily enough. And while I've seen the missteps with Google AI trying to tell you to use glue on your pizza or eat rocks, they are making
rocks.
some good changes. So when I saw that video, while it seemed kind of unbelievable, I think we're kind of getting to that stage. So I'm inclined to believe it, the way it said, like, the way it recognized what he was looking at in the game, and it said, like, look out, the leecher or whatever it's called. You come at me, Minecraft community. Reaper, and he was just like, run for cover, and he was telling you how to build things, and let's go get some wood and stuff. And I was just like, this is actually the best form of accessibility that I could imagine AI could do, because a lot of times parents are just like, I don't know what he's playing. But then if the kid's like, I need help, and then the AI is just like, how can I help? Oh, let's go up here. Maybe there's something up here. I was just like, that's really cool. And if that's where we're going with CoPilot for Xbox integration, I'm all for that.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it on the accessibility side. I mean, that is a good use for AI. That's the nice use of it. Instead of,
because if you don't know anything about the game and you don't understand it at all, the AI understands it because it's integrated into the system. So it's like it looks up in the algorithm how to do this or that, and it tells you. So it's nice.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of, at least that would be a more reasonable use of it, I think.
It's the nice AI side, so you can put that on this side and leave all the bad things over here.
I think what I want to see is not so much like believing it can't be possible. It's like, it'd be kind of nice if it wasn't such a controlled demonstration, which I get that's what's going to happen when you're first showing it off. But like, let some people in the press kind of mess with it. Let them try different things, because they love just saying stupid stuff or trying to do things you shouldn't do or whatever, to see how it kind of interacts with it, which I know right now, if it's really early, that might break it. We don't want something popping up where it's like, hey, how do I make this pickaxe? And all of a sudden they're talking about like Nazis, because AI just seems to always go to that. You're like, no, bad.
Well, that's why you give it to the public, see if they can break it. Yeah.
There's probably going to be some, restraints kind of thing. There's going to be moments where you can ask them about just stupid stuff, and they'll say, file not found, or syntax error, or something like that.
I would hope CoPilot and the Xbox integration kind of blocks off talking about anything outside of video games.
It might only be stuff that pertains to the game itself.
Like, I don't want to have to ask it, like, what's the weather like outside? I have things that do that. So,
yeah, I mean,
the weather is blocky again.
And make that specific for the title, because if you're playing, Flight Simulator, that might actually be a case. If you're somewhere and you don't know what the weather is outside, you might ask because you have weather turned on. Once again, though, that would be a game-specific option, because it would heavily need to be on Rails. And I agree with Chris saying it has to be tied to the game.
PlayStation has stuff like that already, where like when you're playing a PlayStation game and you need help, there's all these resources that searches people's content and like, oh, this guy put out a video, or this person did this, and I was just like, they locked it into each game. So I think Xbox is trying to take that to the next level before Sony buys the company.
Nice. All right. So hopefully this will be a actual useful AI tool, not constantly stealing stuff. That'd be great.
Cortana.
I liked Cortana. That was funny. Did not last. It was on Windows phones.
And it was on the Xbox One.
I do remember that. Yes. Well, I thought it was cool that they had the voice actors to do it. So that was cool. All right. Speaking of Xbox. So when we had the Xbox event, they were talking about an Xbox event coming. They very mysteriously talked about the second showcase. It's Call of Duty.
Well,
we all knew it was freaking Call of Duty. Steven, start drinking. It's Call of Duty. That's 3 drinks, by the way. Get caught up.
Not sponsored.
Yeah. What are you drinking? What is that one? You said not sponsored.
Marvel Coke Zero.
Ooh, nice. So, yeah, we all knew it was going to be that. So Call of Duty Black Ops 6 releasing this year. I like the note of act surprise, people. So the first Call of Duty not coming to the last gen, which I wish people would quit calling we're a next gen, and that's previous gen. That's the last gen. PS4 and Xbox One. Switch is still undetermined. I don't think they're gonna. It'd be kind of weird. I have a feeling it'd be more of a Switch 2 type title, maybe.
But it's one of those that can't announce it until the system's announced.
Right. I still think we're gonna eventually get a Switch 2 version of Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah.
That leak seemed too good. But anyways, this is also considering Microsoft pledged to bring Call of Duty to Nintendo in a court case. So there's actual legal precedent, I guess. What a weird time in gaming we live in that we can bring up court cases for this stuff. Anybody still playing Call of Duty that much? I don't know. Steven, go ahead.
So you remember the I think it was the Russia DLC, the airport, where they had to kind of give you a content warning.
Yes.
Or no?
That was
Yeah, it wasn't even
Modern Warfare
DLC.
2.
Yeah, that was a big part of that game.
Yeah.
It wasn't even DLC. It was part of the game.
So lately I learned some rumblings, which, if true, is going to put a lot of eyes on Call of Duty, good or bad.
I know what you're
But
talking
if
about.
what people are seeing in the artwork and through rumors and leaks is that one of their scenes is you'll be able to kind of reenact and hopefully change 9/11.
Oh, don't they dare. Oh, that's not good.
So it was all over where people were saying, all these hints they're posing in the artwork and the logo and in the background, and people are just like, it sounds like they might do it because it's going to be their put eyes on us type thing, saying, you can say I don't want to go through it, but we're thinking of making you play through 9/11. I was like,
I don't. That's a bad call.
Like, what's that quote from? I think it was Dodgeball. Like, that's a bold move. Let's see if it plays out.
Yeah,
bold move, Cotton.
Yeah,
that's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see how it plays out. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh boy, I wonder.
That would be the shot that would finally get more of the political air right back onto gaming again for people talking about the content and other stuff. And then that doesn't help that you've got, I saw there's some of the people that were suing in regards to the Uvalde shooting talking about Call of Duty allowing the no Russian level of going through, or people, the shooter playing that using the weapon that they used, and that's already bringing heat and people looking at that, which I'm not even getting into the whole argument here right now.
Bad timing right now for them.
Yeah, they would need to drop this quickly. I don't think.
We'll see in 2 weeks, won't we?
Oh man, that is going to be. At that point, it's like, just go buy a PlayStation because Xbox is cooked. Like,
or Xbox will be like, sorry, it's exclusive to PlayStation. We have 9/12 where you rebuild the city.
Oh no, yeah, that version of the game exclusive to Nintendo Switch. Moving on. I just that. Oh my god, I had no idea about that. I am so uncomfortable with that idea, because this isn't like, okay, so we play games now. We've been playing them for a while, where it's like, you're in World War II, and here's what could have happened under this alternate timeline. But we are so far removed from that. You can kind of look at it through an artful or media eye in a different way, but 9/11 still feels like
23 years is enough time.
But it's one of those things that, like, so many people are still alive that were there. They were dealing with that. Like, I remember exactly where I was when we found out about that. I was at work when we first heard about it, at a tire shop at Sam's Club.
If it's true, though, Xbox, there's one day out of the year, though, you should not announce it.
Oh no. I mean, just
taking all bets, folks.
Oh, I'm so uncomfortable with this whole thing.
I don't take your bets. When are they going to announce?
That's the thing, though. Like, we're talking about it because of it. Like,
well, I mean,
they're just like, yeah, any publicity is good publicity, right? Like, as far as they're concerned.
Remember what
that's
happened?
That's not how marketing thinks, though.
Remember all the crap that went down about the 9/11 movies that people were making and talking about? Like, that did not go over well. There were a lot of people upset that those came out. And if they're doing this just for the shock value, I think that is one of the worst steps they could make. And
that's what Call of Duty's been doing for a while, though. They usually have that one or two scenes in a Call of Duty that has shock value that gets you to talk about it. And it's just because to them, it's like I said, any publicity is good publicity. Doesn't matter.
And I feel like they've gotten more relaxed, though, because now we have Gundam King Kong Godzilla, Cardi B, Snoop Dogg, Cheech and Chong. So I feel like they're at least trying to detract from that.
Well, that's in Warzone, like that, because they're trying to be a little bit more like Fortnite, where they're just trying to get in all this crossover stuff, right? Like,
right.
So they're trying to copy the Fortnite formula. But I'm talking about for like their campaigns. I mean, like, what was it? The Modern Warfare reboot. They actually like had this. There was a chapter in the game where there was literally an American like war crime that was committed, but then they tried to blame it on the Russians instead. In this case, so it was like, hang on a second, guys. Like,
stuff like that. Like if they're doing it, that's no different than like a Tom Clancy movie or something where, they're all this political drama and all these things that are going on that they're making up. They may base them around some stuff, but like this is an actual event.
Yeah.
Like they, if they want to try and stop a plane from hitting a building or doing some of that stuff, that could actually be a legitimate take on a story. I've seen that done in other things, but don't make it the actual 9/11. I think that is the bridge too far at that point.
Here's a hint, Activision. If you want to go after something that goes with books and such, how about, you guys just do a collaboration with the Jack Reacher series of all those different movies. Bring back Clear and Present Danger and Hunt for Red October, or
right.
Part of it. I think it's part of it. Bring back all those. I'd love to be able to say, get off my plane and stuff like that.
That would technically have to be Ubisoft because of Tom Clancy, I'm assuming. But the thing about Tom Clancy is Tom Clancy's like everything's based on truth. Like everything's got kernels of truth in it in the sense of like the tech or like stuff that's in there, but it's all fictionalized. Like, which is the obvious difference from this case. But,
I mean, they danced around stuff. There was, they were dealing with wars that were going on and things like that. Yep. So it's not like it was in there, but an event like that is a whole different thing. This is, people that tried to make games around school shootings and other horrific events. Like you don't do that. Like you're not, and I get it, the whole freedom of speech and so forth, but you're still going to have to deal with the outcome of that. And I think this would be a terrible move on Microsoft's part because every talking point I could see on Fox News and everything else is talking about, it's a 9/11 simulator and it's doing all this stuff. And this is what the generations are doing. Like they would go to town about this. That's all you hear about.
Nintendo actually stopped that kind of thing from happening when they delayed Advance Wars reboot because of everything going on at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's good to hang back from,
Should be an interesting year.
Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't even see that part on the notes. So that's my actual reaction the first time hearing this.
No, I didn't put it on the notes because I was just like, I'm gonna drop a bomb at the end of this. No, actually, no, that's a bad choice of words. I'm gonna drop some news. Okay, that's much better.
We'll fix that in post.
Oh my god! All right. Let's move on to the big question.
Yes. Oh, look, butterflies and happiness.
Chase is just like, this is how I get into podcasting? All right. So on a happier thing, let's talk about games to shoot things. So the question was brought up. What is your favorite first-person game? Shooter, adventure, puzzle, walking simulator, whatever. Chase, since you're our guest for your first ever show, we're going to let you go first.
Oh, put me on the spot.
Yes, I am.
So,
Chris hates when I do it, but I do it.
I guess it's got to be like the first thing that comes to mind, right? And first thing that came to my mind when I thought first person was Titanfall 2. Honestly, the game was probably one of the best. It was one of the best first person shooter games I've ever played. Just the story was amazing. It had you hooked like the entire time, and then the ending happened. I was like, oh. And then we never got another one. It's like, damn it. So, Titanfall 2 is probably one of the most phenomenal games I've ever played, just bar none. It's definitely in my top 5.
Nice. All right. Chris, we'll do you next. What about you? What's your choice?
I've never really been much into first-person stuff, aside from maybe one or two dungeon crawlers, but for me, it would have to be Metroid Prime, since it was a first-person adventure. So it's not just, jumpy shooty, it's jumpy explory, jumpy vania, all that fun stuff. So it had just enough new ways to explore and
Mhm.
just so many amazing bits of lore and story you got from all the scanning. And, you could scan the enemies, you could find new paths once you got things like the space jump boots. It was just my kind of game made into a first person story. That's a personal favorite.
Awesome. All right, Steven, what about you? What's your choice?
So I'm gonna go off of console and into PC realm
Nothing wrong with
because
that.
earlier on when I had a PC that could at least run these games, I would get into stuff like Half-Life and I would get into Unreal Tournament, and those were good. But then what grabbed me and kind of like showed me like what I want to see in my games, as morbid as it is, was more realism in the weapons I use.
Mhm.
So when they made this game, they hired somebody who came in and he's just like, these are how guns affect the body. Was
Right.
the Soldier of Fortune series,
Hmm.
especially the first one, because there's not many games now that try to go as gruesome as they are, because in those games you could shoot the guy's arm or hand off and then he couldn't fight back, he would just plead for his life. You could shoot through the head into the person behind you. um,
Damn.
and then a certain game called Sniper Elite perfected that by slowing it down and showing me an X-ray. But before that, you just had Soldier of Fortune, and for me, that that way of let's use a easy term, chunkifying your enemies, basically also attracted me to a great series called Dead Space. So my love for that, and I was just like, there's too many games where if you use a shotgun and you shoot right here, that shouldn't all stay there. Something should come off. So by showing that it does, like, I think that paved the way for stuff like Doom and such, because people understood, like, it's not just bullet sponge, guy falls down. It's, oh, hey, we can do more than just either explode the enemy or make them fall down. We can show more realism. Let's take a page out of GoldenEye. So I think it was like something that just led me into liking so many other titles, and it now sticks out as if it brings me back to the Soldier of Fortune days, then I want to play that series.
All right. So for me, and just to go, Stephen, the term you were looking for is jibbing. Is when you are blowing people apart, and I know that because I played the living crap out of my game, Quake 3 Arena. This was back originally when I started getting into somewhat of PC gaming. One of the few games I will still play mouse and keyboard. I will play it on controller a little bit. I messed with it on Dreamcast, but even on Dreamcast, I got a mouse and keyboard to play it. But Quake 3 Arena, I think out of all the first person shooters I've played, from all the way back on my, playing on the N64 with GoldenEye and stuff we were talking about before, to even my modern ones, a sense of movement, scale, and precision never has felt as good as it has in Quake 3 Arena. You use that world in so many different ways. It's the only one I've ever been actually competitive in. Like, I would go to tournaments and play where you could do wall runs. You'd be able to use the guns and their explosions to actually, shoot down with the laser to run across the wall and then do the explosion to jump yourself across, pull out the railgun and nail somebody. And yeah, it is the exact opposite of what you're looking for, Stephen, with realism. But damn, it's fun. It's so much fun. And it was one of the first games. Like, Fortnite has all these crazy skins, but I remember Quake 3 Arena, you could be so many different things, including the Doom guy, or I would be running around as this glowing radioactive looking skeleton, and so many different options of what you could play. But it always stuck with me. Like, I will go back and play it now on occasion just to get in there.
I did like the announcer too, like
Oh,
three
yeah.
flags left.
Yes, that
You
was
have lost
always
the lead.
Yep. I think I even had him as like phone notifications one time back in the day when we first could start doing that. I would find the sound files back when I worked at Nextel and have them on there. So that was my initial diving into any kind of PC gaming, and I don't think later Quakes never felt as good. It's one of the few games that I'll be like, yeah, I could play it on a controller, but I don't want to. I actually will prefer mouse and keyboard for this title alone. And it's just,
I think a lot of it was kind of, for me, playing Quake 3 Arena 2, is that when you where flying around or jumping around was being able to whip around really quick with the mouse and do some splash damage with a rocket and stuff like that. Is you kind of needed that.
Like we'd have times we'd have to double hit somebody, so we would shoot a rocket where we would think they were going to be as they went through a teleporter, launch yourself backward into the teleporter. When you pop out, switch guns, shoot the rail. So either door they went into, you're either going to tap them with a rocket or hit them with the rail gun. Like we would get to that level, and we're just like, this is just nirvana. You would just get into the mode and just start going around.
Gibbing or gibbing, depending on how you like to pronounce it.
We're not getting into this argument.
Yeah, so that's kind of the birth of the Twitch shooter, wasn't it? Basically,
yeah. It was always between that and Unreal. Unreal Tournament was great, but Quake 3 Arena just felt so perfect. And it was one of the earlier ones I remember that it's like, this is just a multiplayer game. There was no story. You know, they did Quake 1 and 2, and we didn't get more story until 360 PC era of Quake 4. So Quake 3 Arena, just that. And try as they might to bring it back, it was fun, but it never felt as good as the PC release, the original one. So that is my favorite first-person shooter, I think. All right, so we will go ahead and wrap up the show here. As we normally would just say to go look below the show or in the notes to find out where we can reach us. We don't have that information currently. We'll have to update it for Chase. So Chase, where can the people find you on the internet if you even want to be found? If not, you don't have to.
I'm around.
It would be like that.
I'm around on X and Discord. X is, it's all through my gamertag Lego X Gaming.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if anybody sees me, you can talk to me. Pretty chill guy. I'll respond.
Nice. All right. We don't have time to hear all of Chris's answers. He just rambles.
Yeah, he's everywhere, right?
Yeah.
He's
just constantly. See, he's now one with the universe again.
Now he's in the dark. So,
right.
So you can find him in the dark and in the light. See, there's so many places.
Oh,
or you can find him in bed, wherever he is.
All right. Well, we haven't done it in a while, but Steven, where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me causing chaos. No. So yeah, you can
drop a Bob's.
You can find me. Thank you. You can find me looking for deals on X at loading_time. You can find me talking to absolutely nobody but Jeremy on Blue Sky at n1tendo.bsky.social.com. You can see me have absolutely no posts and just complaining about people, talking about the last Wonka convention in New England or whatever at Swantendo, or you can yell at me for pronouncing anything in Minecraft wrong on Discord. You can join us at N1Nintendo with a period at the end.
It's still weird they have a period. All right. So I've been your host, Jeremy Powers. You can find me over at Blue Sky at Zenspath.com. Instagram and Threads is Zenspath.com. So it's just .com without the period. And then for Twitter, Hive, and Discord, it's at Zenspath. You can find it whenever we're streaming, including, we're not actually streaming the other games live, but when I do stream, it's twitch.tv/Zenspath. And then for the show itself, if you would like to talk to us directly, you can find us on Twitter at Zenspath Podcast. If you're watching the video version of this, you can listen to the audio version anywhere you find your podcast, including Apple, Google, things like that. Just look up Zenspath Entertainment Network Podcast. Leave us a review, leave us a comment, a review, things like that. We greatly appreciate it. If you're listening to this and you'd like to see our ugly mugs, you can find us at youtube.com/Zenspath, Zenspath.com. And then, once again, leave us a thumbs up, share it with people, leave us comments, good or bad. It all apparently helps us. So it's great. All right. This has been episode 130 and we're out. Peace.
Leave Valve and Brittany alone.
Quake 3 forever. Jibs.
Give us Titanfall.